True faith is not what we think, what we say, or what we feel. It's what we do. We are talking about the story of Zacchaeus in Luke chapter 19 in preparation for the Sunday of reconciliation. And today we are reading here, then Zacchaeus stood and said to the Lord, "Look, Lord, I give half of my goods to the poor, and if I have taken anything from anyone by false accusation, I restore fourfold." You know, it's clear here that this was not a prayer. This was not a long speech. This was all about Zacchaeus confessing. That was his moment of confession, acknowledgement of error, but mostly about taking an action, following up with action, because without action, those would be empty words. That was the turning point in his life. It's not about him uh, giving up money. And of course, by him returning the money to the people whom he had robbed and stolen fourfold, he would have ended up with probably nothing or start from zero. So he valued his soul above the money. He prioritized the salvation of his soul above the possessions. But what is important here is that every person that wants to reconcile with God, reconnect with God, or reconnect with their spouse, with their children, with their siblings, they need to have a sense of responsibility. And Zacchaeus had a sense of responsibility. All of us have a sense of responsibility. If you're a parent and you're watching today, I don't need to tell you to feed your children. I don't need to tell you to pay the school fees. I don't need to tell you to look after your kids. Because as a parent, you don't need anybody to tell you this. We have a sense of responsibility. If you have your job, I don't need to tell you. Your employer doesn't need to tell you what to do, because as a worker, a laborer, you have a sense of responsibility because you know your task, you know your job title. But spiritually, when we talk about reconnecting with God for the sake of our soul, for the betterment of our soul, in order to have peace in our soul, every person has a sense of spiritual responsibility and they know what they need to do. And you should understand that some problems cannot be resolved with prayer. We pray, but there's a moment that we stop praying and we need to take action and follow up with action. And that's what Zacchaeus did.
You know, that moment he had a sense of responsibility about his soul, but also about other people, because when he said like this, if I have taken anything from anyone by false accusation, I restore fourfold. So he understood, I accused someone falsely, that person got in trouble, maybe for a long term. So let me restore so that that person can start a new life. So he took care of himself. When taking this action, he looked after himself, his own soul, but also he took responsibility for that person that he had accused falsely. So, and Jesus didn't need to tell him anything. It was his conscience. Jesus didn't tell Zacchaeus, you know what you have to do? You have to restore these people. If you want the no, it was different. Jesus spoke in there. I don't know what Jesus did there on the table, and then he decided. He stood up and he made that vow, sense of responsibility.
Yeah, this is very powerful. If you are spiritual and if you have already been connected with God, very well. But whoever is connected with God desires to connect other people with God.
Mm.
It's natural. That's exactly what happened to Zacchaeus. The moment when Jesus opened the door and Jesus reached out to him, and Zacchaeus came down from the tree and he was connected to God. He started thinking about people that were disconnected from God. Through his testimony, he was able to bring them back to God. He knew, I have the power, I have the influence to connect people with God. So for me to do nothing, it would be wrong. It would be a great injustice. So here you see Zacchaeus reconciling with God and him using the same power to reconnect others to God. And maybe you're watching today and you think about somebody that you know has drifted away from God, or maybe somebody that is going through some difficult moments in their relationship life, family life, and you have the power in the influence and the example of Zacchaeus that you can be used by God in order to connect others with God. All right? Use that power. Do not allow that power to be wasted. All right? This weekend, we're going to have the Sunday of Reconciliation. This is the address. You can scan the QR code for more information. And we will be back again tomorrow with our voice of faith. Thank you so much for tuning in. God bless you all abundantly. Bye bye.
God bless.